Okay, I'm just before handing over to Joe, who's doing the presentation today on women in construction, which I'm really looking forward to hearing about. I thought I'd just do a quick look ahead to a few things with GUAC for members to be aware of. Probably the most significant development over summer and now autumn has been the foundation of an all-party parliamentary group on housing and employment. So that's a permanent group, or it's there for as long as we want it to be, that sits, that operates out of Parliament. So it has essentially a license to operate and register. And we're doing that with an organisation called Place Shapers, who are about 120 strong membership body of smaller and medium-sized housing associations. And they also have an interest in employment prospects for tenants and residents. So we formally founded, and we had a formal meeting this week, and we're going to run an inquiry through that all-party parliamentary group, or APPG for short, in the new year. So I just wanted to flag that something for members to look out for and get involved with. There'll be loads more info about that coming through GUAC News and on the website. And then I just wanted to point to a few events that are coming up incredibly soon. I can't believe it's almost November, but our AGM takes place in November on Tuesday the 27th, 4 till 5 p.m. and that's hotly followed by the annual reception, which takes place that evening, once again on the Terrace Pavilion at the House of Commons. I think it's going to be the biggest one yet. We're launching a 6-month comms programme there called Communities That Work, which obviously is part of our strapline now. That's the 3 words which go underneath Give Us a Chance on all our logos, website and so on. So the Communities That Work brand is going to launch, and we've got invitations formally going out on Monday morning at 9 o'clock to about 150 MPs and peers, all our GUAC members, and about 120 stakeholders. So I think it's going to be the busiest one yet. I think we're probably going to have about 150, 200 people in the room, and it's really exciting, plus slightly daunting event coming up for GUAC. So look out for that invite, and please RSVP as soon as you can. And the last 2 things are really for the new year. The research that we've done with members with Salford, the University of Salford, is being written up as we speak, and we plan to launch and publish that in January next year. It's a bit crowded this side of Christmas to launch it, with a few other things going on, and we wanted to give it some dedicated space. So we will again publicise that to GUAC members through GUAC News and notifications, and just look out for that. And lastly, a last date for your diary: Friday the 1st of February 2019 is the date of our next full GUAC member day. So that takes place about 9:30 till 4, and we alternate those north-south. So it's the turn of the north, and it's being hosted kindly by Plus Dane in central Liverpool. So loads more details will come out about that, but we're confirming speakers this side of Christmas, and that will include TPAS, the chief exec there, Big Lottery, perhaps Ursa, and some regional focus too. So anyway, there's quite a bit going on. That's plenty enough from me. Don't forget, if you're a delegate, you can use the chat box. 2 people have said hello on it already, to pose a question or a comment at any point, and I'll keep an eye on those, and I can post those up to Jo after she's spoken. So do use that facility, as well as you can ask Q&A as well, but chat's, to be honest, the easiest place to put it. So I will now stop my video and go to mute, and say thanks very much, Jo, for coming on today and speaking, and please do give us an introduction to yourself and your organisation, and then we look forward to hearing about this work. It's certainly relevant. I was at an NHF Asset Management Conference last week, and the topic of workforce development and women in construction was a hot topic. So this is very timely. So look forward to hearing from you now. Thanks, Jo.
Brilliant, thanks Lindsay. So my name's Jo Miller. I'm the Employability Manager. I work for Nottingham City Homes. I've been at Nottingham City Homes around about coming up to 2 years now, and I inherited Women in Construction around about 18 months ago. We do have a dedicated Women in Construction officer, a lovely lady called Abigail Greenwood. Unfortunately, she couldn't do this today. She doesn't actually work on Fridays, so hence why you've got myself, but hopefully I can give you a really good insight into the work that we have been doing, and obviously what we're looking to do going forward. I will make sure you get our contact details as well as at the end, and as well as Abby's details, because she is obviously a key member of staff driving this project throughout our organisation. So just to kind of give you a bit of background then, really, in terms of Nottingham City Homes, we are in Almo. We were formed probably around about 2005 through the City Council. We operate mainly just within Nottingham City, and we manage around about 27,000 properties, so we're very condensed. Nottingham itself is a very small city. I think it's about 5 by 5 miles square. So actually, to be able to engage with our residents is relatively easy, or should I say straightforward, because we operate within such a small remit. We were recognised as UK Housing Landlord of the Year as well this year, which is a massive achievement for us. And employability actually formed quite a big part of that application, so we're really proud of that. And I think, as Lindsay's already mentioned, employability, women in construction, they are really key core areas in terms of what we're working towards within our industry. Nottingham South, we are a really diverse, culturally diverse city. One of the reasons why we do women in construction is that we want our workforce to reflect the city in which we work in. We are the largest provider of social housing within the East Midlands. And I believe that we are actually one of the only Almos, if not the first, to be building our own properties as well. So not only do we manage those within the City Council, we also actually have our own housing stock that we're building that is owned by Nottingham City Homes. So it's a really exciting time for us. We have just launched our new corporate plan, of which we have our corporate goals. I won't go into that into too much detail, but as you can see, sort of working with our tenants and being a key organisation within Nottingham is really important to us. So before I go on to talk about the actual Women in Construction programme itself, I want to give you a bit of background about where this sits within the grander schemes of things. So we do have an employability strategy, which is actually just coming towards an end this year. And a part of that is very much around supporting our local tenants and residents who are furthest away from the labour market into employment, whether that's with ourselves, with other organisations within the city. We have 6 core areas in which we focus on. Training and development is a really important part of that, and our Women in Construction certainly feeds into that. Partnerships, working with other organisations. We know we can't do everything ourselves. So again, we try and partner with other organisations who are already doing some of this work to enable that for our tenants as well. School engagement, and I'm going to touch base on that a little bit later on. We have linked Women in Construction into our schools, especially around aspirational raising with the local students, and also around providing careers, insight into different careers within the construction industry. I wanted to touch base really briefly sort of where this sits within our organisation, because it's quite an unusual setup, but I do think this is really important. Women in Construction was a standalone project within our construction repairs and maintenance division, and about 18 months ago we moved it over to employability, and that was really to make sure it had that more direct feed into our executive team. Employability itself is standalone. We don't operate within a tenant involvement team or our organisational development team. We do sit alongside that. And I think that really reflects how important employability is within Nottingham City Homes. There is a dotted line to our organisational development team, and that's been really vital to enable success in the work that we do. Our organisational development team consists of our learning and development team, recruitment and HR. So to be able to feed directly into those teams, has actually helped us achieve quite a lot, and I am going to go on to talk about the successes of that. Some of the challenges, and there has been challenges throughout Women in Construction since setting it up. Having that direct feed into our executive team means that we can actually overcome them much more easier, and obviously work from the top down. So that's been really important for us as well. So some of our current projects, obviously Women in Construction is one of those, which I'll go into a lot more detail about. But we do have other projects that all interlink with each other and complement our Women in Construction programme. Our Next Steps project is quite a unique partnership that we have with a organisation called Nottingham Jobs. Nottingham Jobs is a partnership between Futures Advice, Nottingham City Council and the Department for Work and Pensions. So a really unique opportunity to engage with all of those organisations, and we are also co-located within the same building, so it makes it really great for partnership working. Next Steps is essentially our one-to-one employment support, so that's our fundamentals, it's our go-to for anybody that we're supporting into work. They have either a telephone call, email, or face-to-face appointment with a careers advisor who offers them basic advice around CV skills, applying for jobs, motivational support, and what they do, they act as our triage into our other services that we have. So that's been hugely successful, and last year we supported around 92 tenants into employment, and we had around 300 tenants actively engaged with us. This year we've seen an increase already. I think we've helped around about 50 tenants into work since April, and we've actually engaged with over 300 tenants already within the first 6 months. So we have seen a lot more engagement recently with our tenants. Traineeships and work experience, obviously the work experience a lot of organisations do. Traineeships have been really good for us, and we have done construction traineeships. So essentially that is a pre-apprenticeship programme supporting those who aren't apprenticeship ready with their maths and English, valuable work experience, and the opportunity to be considered for some of our apprenticeships. And we did actually recruit one of our trainees for a traineeship who is now one of our construction apprentices with us. As well as doing that, we run a series of trainings, so our Tenant Academy, we have an employability section, which is your workway, various different training, anything from confidence skills to budgeting, to our business startup courses as well. So Tony, who you can see, the guy with the apron on, he's actually one of our tenants, and he came on our How to Start a Market Stall masterclass. He's now making a living from having his market stall. He has a company called the Dumpling Jack, which is Caribbean food, hugely successful, and he actually opened up his own shop this year as well. So he's been a great success. The school engagement, I'm going to go into a bit more detail because we have linked that a lot with our Women in Construction programme. And the group of people you see there in that photo are actually maths teachers. And like I say, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on. But we have looked at linking construction to the maths curriculum as well within schools. And then before talking about our WIC project, we also have the ability to do some direct recruitment into our own vacancies at Nottingham City Homes. So when I say direct recruitment, we amended our recruitment policy about 12 months ago to enable us to support some of our more entry-level roles and our apprenticeships with employability feeder programs. So that could be absolutely anything, and we could be quite creative as to how we recruit into those roles. So it's essentially not advertising those vacancies when appropriate, and actually using alternative programs like traineeships, like sector-based work academies, like work trials to provide opportunities for our tenants who are out of work to be considered for our vacancies. We've done some recently in our caretaking team. We did a work trial. We had about four local unemployed tenants do a work trial with us for a week. We didn't interview them. We assessed them instead throughout their week with us, and actually we appointed 3 of those people. We've also done the same in our customer service contact centre, and in our home preparation and our voids team as well. So that's been a great success, and we're looking to do more of that going forward. So obviously what you're here to find out more about today is our Women in Construction programme, and that does link with everything that we do employability wise. So I suppose why, I mean, the numbers sort of speak for themselves, to be honest. You only have to walk past a construction site to see there are very few, if any, female members of staff. Currently across the UK, only 11% females make up the workforce within the construction industry. It's very, very, very minimal. And when I say construction industry, that's anything from site managers to technical officers to project managers to general labourers to plumbers, carpenters, the full works. Before we started our Women in Construction programme, we very much reflected that. We have around about 1,000 members of staff across the board, but approximately 370 of them make up our trade colleagues, and of which only 4 were female. So that's around about 1%. So very, very, very poor in terms of our gender balance on our trade side, and that was back in 2015. We don't really need much more of a reason than that. You know, we are, like I said, a really diverse city. It's very important for us, for our workforce, to reflect that. We do have a dedicated equality and diversity manager. Sometimes I get asked quite often, is women in construction discriminatory towards males? Actually, no, it's not. We can, when we are well within our rights, to launch a programme like this as part of our positive action. And if you can recognise anywhere within your organisation that's underrepresented by any of the 9 key characteristics of the Equality and Diversity Act, you can look to put programmes in place to support that, or action plans. So our Women in Construction programme does support that. We're clearly underrepresented within our female trade colleagues and our construction repairs and maintenance side. So the programme was put in place to help increase those numbers. So in terms of how, you know, I suppose there wasn't a huge amount of best practice in terms of where this was working well. The numbers were low across the board. Women in Construction, I think more so recently, has had a bit more of a name for itself, and I think it is getting out there a little bit more. But we recognised we needed to provide opportunities for people to engage with us and engage with the sector. So we started to set up monthly taster workshops, and I'm going to go into all this again in a bit more detail. We knew we needed to be more outward facing. So actually going out and talking about women in construction and getting it out there is really important. And that wasn't just about going to external organisations, it was also with our own staff and our own workforce. Motivational speaking, working with schools, hugely important. A lot of young people start making their choices for their careers as to what they want to do at a young age. So actually we need to get in there and provide them insight into work. And the world of construction and the other opportunities available to them. And also we knew we needed to make better links with our contractors and get them on board with this. Obviously we only recruit X amount each year, so we needed our contractors on board to support the programme. So talking about our taster workshops then, this is our flagship project. This is sort of our first stepping stone for anybody who wants to engage with us with women in construction or wants to find out more. And when I say anybody, it doesn't have to be an unemployed tenant. It can be any female resident living within Nottingham. We say within Nottingham just because our apprenticeship recruitment is ring-fenced to the Nottingham City boundary. So we like to be upfront and honest about that. But we also actively encourage other organisations to come to our taster workshops. So we often get people from our contractors come down. We have members of staff come down. We've actually had a few people say they want to do a team away day on one of our workshops. We have had a whole job centre come down and do a team session down there as well, on the basis that they are referring people onto the workshop and that they wanted to do it themselves to get an insight into what it actually is all about. So the workshops take place every single month. They are delivered by our trade colleagues, and one of the things that we have done is not just restrict it to our female trade colleagues, but to open it out to our other male colleagues as well. And we found that's been a huge success because it gets their buy-in, it gets their support for the programme too. One thing that we've really tried to iron out is that it's not an exclusive club. Just because you're male, it doesn't mean that you can't take part or be an advocate or an ambassador for women in construction. That's something that we use the workshops to help with. We have a fantastic training facility at one of our sites in Bilborough in Nottingham, and you are all welcome to come down and come and see it at some point. As you can see in the background in that photo, there is a purpose-built house within our stores facility, and we use that for all of our training. So we've got a great location and a really nice environment in which we can train in. Since we launched the workshops, like I say, they happen every single month. We've had around about 300 people take part. We do have to restrict it to 15 attendees each month. We pretty much get booked up every single month. So it just shows there's such a need to provide these opportunities for local ladies to come along and take part. Just a little side note then, and I will go into some of the as to where we are now with our recruitment, but we have used the taster workshops as a mechanism to help recruit, and we do actually have 10 trade apprentices with us, working with us now full time, and every single one of them attended one of our women in construction taster workshops. And that was just they wanted to come find a little bit more about what it's like to have a career in that industry, and they've actually gone on to pursue that. So again, I think the numbers really speak for themselves. We use the taster workshops to also feed into the other work we do around equality and diversity. Usually back in February, we always do one aimed at the LGBT communities, always hugely successful. We did one recently back in September linked to the South Asian Heritage Festival, where we actually engaged with some of our Muslim communities. We had a group of ladies who all came from a Muslim background come and take part in a workshop. Really good feedback from that, and feedback from the organisation that we worked with was apparently women in construction was the talk of the town, which is always nice to hear. And then this week we actually had a WIC workshop, and we themed it all around Black History Month. So we do try and include as much as we possibly can to reach out to as many communities as possible. Some of the feedback then that we get, and these are all ladies who have taken part. I'm not going to go through them all, obviously you can read it yourselves, but generally speaking, we get really fantastic feedback from our workshops. We engage with people from all different backgrounds, all different vulnerabilities. We recently recruited a lady who actually was a dressmaker, dress cutter in a previous life, and is actually now a carpenter with us. So it has been quite phenomenal as to how we've been able to reach out to these individuals. So as well as the workshop, we do other series of projects. I touched base on this earlier, so the Maths Construction Challenge. So as we do a lot of work with schools, and actually some of those taster workshops, we do get school groups coming in to do as well, so anything from 14 upwards. But we recently launched our Maths Construction Challenge. We work really closely with schools. We get a lot of feedback that obviously their time is so spent on making sure that they're meeting the curriculum needs. So we thought, actually, well, why don't we join up what we do day to day within construction with the maths curriculum. So we invited some maths teachers to come and spend the day with us. We actually went out on site at one of our locations, and that's Strelly Court, which is one of our independent living schemes that we've just completed, and spend the day and meet probably people in jobs that they didn't know existed. So they spent a lot of time with our quantity surveyors. They spent time with some of our trade staff, also with some of the project managers as well. So what they then did was take back some architect drawings that we had, some site plans, and they actually embedded it within maths classes. One school actually closed, they flattened their timetable for 2 days and spent the whole 2 days focusing on this. So it's a really important part for us to do this. And we do see when we have people apply for apprenticeships for us, one of the things that they do fall down on is their maths and English. So when they go for their assessments, a lot of the time we see people not meeting the minimum requirements. So we are trying to do a lot of work around maths and English, and we're finding linking it in with actual real jobs is really important to us. Internally, we do a lot of work. We launched a women development programme about 18 months ago now for current members of staff, and this was to help individuals, female members of staff, mostly within our construction repairs and maintenance division, to progress and to find inner confidence, to challenge, to put themselves out there, to confront if needed, in a positive way. We worked with an external training provider. We had about 15 ladies take part in this. It was a series of different days that they took part. One around challenging without confrontation, assertiveness and empowerment, making time fit, and then presenting yourself. So we've done this, we've expanded this. We did another session earlier on this year where we got everybody back together, and we're looking to launch another one for next year as well. Really great feedback and a great opportunity for some of the ladies in our organisation who want to move up. And this has had some great success. We have seen some ladies progress into more senior and more management roles as well. We do have a WIC network, a Women in Construction network. We meet on a regular basis to encourage some of the ladies working within construction repairs and maintenance to come together. Gives us an opportunity to deal with any concerns, iron out any problems, and escalate anything that needs sorting. Some really simple things that we don't always think about around workwear. So we had issues around high-vis vests, which are predominantly made to fit a more male body. They were struggling in terms of doing their work. They were too baggy, they were getting caught on things. So we looked to source some more fitted high-vis vests for our ladies. A lot of the workwear they wear are male clothes. Again, when we've got more petite ladies and shorter ladies who are struggling, we actually worked with a local workwear provider to help get some better workwear in for them. So our WIC networks help bring up those kinds of things. It could be anything. We had an issue recently around the size of gloves that didn't fit properly, work boots in particular. We tend to have problems with. So WIC networks are a great way to iron out those problems, and it's the opportunity for ladies across the business to come together and feedback any concerns. And our Women in Construction officer leads on all of these. So I suppose kind of where are we now? This is a broad aspect. We do have more individuals obviously within these different areas. But I think it does kind of really reflect the impact of what Women in Construction has had at NCH. So starting way back in 2015 when we only had the 4 trade colleagues, we did a round of recruitment for apprenticeships in 2016, which meant we increased our trade colleagues up to 9. However, this year's been probably the most successful year. We had one of the largest apprenticeship intakes that we've taken. And we took on an additional 15 trade apprentices this year, and they started with us at the beginning of September. And out of those 15, 7 were female. Every single one of them had been on the Women in Construction programme, and that's how they first engaged with us, which is quite phenomenal, really. We're very excited to have an Assistant Director of Development, which is also a female member of staff. We also have one of our first heads of service as a female member of staff. And we've seen people, as I mentioned previously, who have been through our Women Development Programme progress on to void property manager vacancies and repaired service manager vacancies. I am going to show you a video, and I do hope it works, around the caretaking side. But our caretaking team was also very predominantly male. We actually only had one female member of staff, and we've since helped to introduce 3 new females into that area as well. So still a long way to go, but it's certainly going in the right direction. We have quite an ambitious target to increase it to 10% by 2020. I don't know if we'll get there, but obviously we'll continue to do what we can to help that. So they're our new recruits, they're our new construction apprentices that started with us in September. As you can see, there's a really good mixture of individuals, like I say, a much more better gender balance. Every single one of these went through a recruitment process. We generally get inundated with applications for our trade apprentices. We had about 500 applicants in 1 week. We had to close that early. So for those individuals to have come through that recruitment process and to have been offered a vacancy, they've done extremely well. And within that, we've also got one of our construction trainees as well. So I am going to play you a video, and I really hope this works. Jacqueline is one of our home preparation officers, and she came on a traineeship that we ran. Even though technically this isn't within our construction side, she does work within what was a very dominated male environment. So I'm just going to play this video, and hopefully you can hear it all.
It's just loading, Joe, I think. We'll give it a minute.
So we've done some previous traineeships, mostly in caretaking and construction. Our caretaking one in particular was focused on our void properties and supporting recruitment into those roles.
One day I was at home and got a phone call if I was interested in a job, if I was working. I said no. And they said, okay, we have this program going on, but you have to go to the college and then go on working experience. Which was, I said, okay, yeah, I'm keen to.
Hi, Joe.
Can you hear it? Can you see it?
We can hear it, but can't see it.
Okay, not to worry. I'll tell you what, I can send you a link to it. It is on our YouTube page.
Exactly that. If you can send us the link, we'll make sure that goes out with the webinar recording, Joe.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Great, thanks.
But essentially, Jackie took part in one of our caretaking traineeships.
Right.
And her story really is that she would never have applied for that kind of vacancy before, but coming on a traineeship gave her a real insight into that world of work, and actually she really enjoyed it. And we gave a group of ladies the opportunity to do that, all with a guaranteed interview at the end. And Jackie was the lady who was successful.
Oh, fab. Well, sorry that didn't quite come through. We could hear it, and I thought, oh, maybe it's going to buffer, but don't worry, we'll make sure everyone can see that.
I'll send it. Yeah, no, that's
okay.
Fine.
Back to you, Joe.
No, that's fine. So also Natalie, she's one of our new recruits as well, who's just joined us in our construction apprenticeships. Natalie is a really great example as to how she's kind of taken advantage of all the support available to her. So Natalie was actually one of our involved tenants. She was on one of our residents associations. She then came along to a Women in Construction workshop. She then took part in our Next Steps project, which is our one-to-one employment support. She then came on to some of our Tenant Academy interview skills workshop training that we did. And she's now since been appointed by us. So I think what I want to sort of showcase with Natalie's case study is that how everything has linked together. So our Women in Construction has been a enabler to help Natalie get to where she wanted to be. So in terms of what's next then, there's lots going on. We are looking to extend our WIC network into more of a women's forum, which would be more company-wide. We get a lot of direct queries around concerns and things that have happened, some of those of which we feel that needs to be dealt with centrally. And I think having a women's network, a women's forum is going to be the best opportunity for that. We've got gender pay gap to consider. So the Women Development Programme is fantastic, but actually what do we do more of to help decrease our gender pay gap? And I'm sure there are other organisations out there thinking the same. So we are looking at an action plan to support women to progress and to get from where they are now to where they want to be. So internal career progression, exactly the same really, just helping to provide those opportunities. So Jacqueline, whose video unfortunately didn't work, she's really keen to progress already. So the last thing we want to do is support somebody into a role and then leave them be, is actually what do we do now to move them on to the next stage of their career. Maths and English support is again a huge concern really going forward. Out of the 500 applicants that we had for construction, about 170 went forward for their maths and English assessments and only 20 actually passed. So there is a concern around making sure those who want to access and want to get into this industry, that they have the minimum requirements available to them. So things like the maths construction challenge, we're going to look to expand and do much more of. Lots more work with contractors. We had a meeting recently with one of our contractors who wants to use Women in Construction, our Women in Construction programme, to support their recruitment. It's a really great way of joining up. So that's quite exciting and we want to do more. We've got a new strategy that we're developing at the moment. So I will probably be sending out, if anybody's interested to see that, I can send that out in its draft form. It's what it is now. Always keen to have feedback on that. But Women in Construction will form a part of that strategy going forward too. And then finally, really, it's a bit of a watch this space. We have got some really exciting news around Women in Construction, but unfortunately we're not allowed to announce it yet. So hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be able to announce that, and I believe there is going to be quite a big announcement around what we're going to be doing, and hopefully we can channel that through GUAC as well. So it is a little bit of a watch this space, and it's a shame this isn't in a couple of weeks' time, but we will let you know as soon as we can. So that's it really from me. There's all of our contact details. The taster workshops, you are very welcome to come along to. We have had other housing organisations come along to those, like I said, EWP members of staff. We've had other employment support providers come along. It's absolutely fine. Please just contact Abby. They can be booked online on our Eventbrite page, and again I can send a link out for that. If you're not too sure, just drop Abby or myself an email and we can get you booked on. You can come and see our facility, come and meet some of our trade colleagues and some of the ladies who come on to those workshops. And that's about it, I think, unless anybody's got any questions.
Brilliant, well done, Jo. Thanks, that's a really clear presentation and goes through all of the sort of specialist areas of work you're doing. I think that's a really good offer that you've made as well for colleagues from GUAC to come and see one of the taster workshops in action, and clearly they're having a massive impact, right? They're making a difference, and that progression of numbers that you showed was really impressive and really clear in terms of you know, the difference it can make to intervene and actually do something. Oh, so we've had a comment just saying thanks, Jo. That's from Sophie, and yeah, it is inspiring stuff. So we will obviously share the recording of the webinar, the slides, Jo, if that's all right. Would you mind sharing those? We've got all your contact details there, and I think I know that you'd asked about other GUAC members' own employability strategies.
Yeah.
I think it might be an idea if you're happy to share that draft 2019. Is it 2019 to 2021?
Yeah, so it'd be from next
2-3
April.
year.
Yeah.
If you're happy to share that, that would be great. I think we could do a little bit of a GUAC member shout out with a link to that strategy. and perhaps asking them to share some of their own work plans, business plans in that area, because we know a lot of members obviously are always planning and writing and indeed bidding for support for their employment work, and that takes a whole range of different guises and forms. But I think it would be really useful to share that, and I know that you've developed it, Jo, from when you joined Nottingham City Homes about 2-3 years ago, and that's really come on, and that's sort of testament to the work you've been doing, the awards that you're winning. It's great. And in a couple of weeks, when you can share that news about the sort of next extension of your work, please let us know, and we'll put that through GUAC News so that
brilliant. Yeah, we'll do.
Members when you
it's a shame the time. I was really hoping that we could announce that as part of today, but we can't, unfortunately. But it's exciting for us anyway. So
cool. No, that's fine, and we can share it when it's ready. So before Christmas, which is great.
Yeah.
So we've had some thanks. I don't think there's any particular questions. I'm not hugely surprised actually, because it was a really comprehensive rundown of the work you're doing and how it's working. So we'll make sure that the film is shared as well. We'll share the PowerPoint, and we'll share the video. So Alan will get onto the recording of that, and we'll make sure all the registered delegates from today get that next week. Okay, well, if there's no other questions or comments that I can see, then I think we'll just say thank you very much again, Jo. We really appreciate your time and preparation into this webinar. The next one will be at the end of November, topic to be confirmed, but we'll send it out to all members as normal through GUAC News and a dedicated e-shot. So have a lovely afternoons, everyone, really lovely weekends, and see you soon. Look out for your invites to the annual reception, maybe see you there. And Jo, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.